Hello, this is Eileen, the environmental educator, and in this video, we're going to talk about this article that was out today. Burger King wants a green Whopper. You might feel slightly less trashy about eating a Whopper. I didn't know people felt trashy. But it's Veronica, Bondarenko. This is April 13th, 2022. There's a couple places that I saw that carried this article, practically word for word, probably. She says the ecological costs of fast food and in particular inexpensive meat are well documented by science. She says meat production is responsible for 57% of all greenhouse gas emissions, which I didn't know that. While each pound of beef made for human consumption impacts the climate at 15 times the rate of an equivalent amount of beans or lentils. And I would have thought it would have been much more than that, the way they talk about, how to not do beef because, eat lentils. I'm like, only 15 times the difference. I would have thought it would have been more than that. Anyways, McDonald's alone produces 53 million metric tons of carbon a year. That's more than the entire country of Norway annually. So it says that such stark numbers are pushing many environmentally minded eaters to, if not forego meat entirely, cut back on how much they consume, both through flexitarian diets and alternative sources of protein. And, then, of course, gets into all the fake meats and how it can reach 23.2 billion by 2024 in just 2 years, all the fake meat. Imagine that, Bill Gates and friends. And now remember, I did an article a little bit ago that they just put 8 million in grants to hire a bunch more environmental writers. So, in their articles, they're going to be pushing for Bill Gates's agenda. Okay, so this is short here. This article, it's Burger King. What is Burger King doing to counter this problem? Unless they are able to pivot, such rapidly shifting consumer preferences could inevitably spell trouble for a fast food industry that has for decades centered its main product offering on cheap beef and chicken. And actually, I thought it was more on the fast food and disposable. Um, McDonald's joined some brands, and and Burger King and A&W are finally bringing a veggie burger like McPlant to the American market. I don't know. Have you heard about the McPlant? I haven't, but um, so Burger King and Cargill announced it's partnering with the National Fish and Wildlife Federation. They're going to give $5 million to ranchers in Colorado, Kansas, Nebraska, New Mexico, Oklahoma, and Texas who are taking active steps to combat climate change. So that's how Burger King is kind of stepping up to the plate. To receive the grants, the farmers will need to create a strategy to implement sustainable grazing practices that conserve and maximize the available grass for animals to graze. So that's great, but it says, can fast food really solve the problem? You know, as the world reacts to a warming climate, many fast food chains are feeling pressure over its role in climate change. Well, I've tried to get the industry. You can't get in touch with these people. Like I'll show you. McDonald's try to find the only email I could find like for BK Corporation was to its media. So I'm like, hey, would you get your top guys to answer? Will you lead? So are they doing enough? No. McDonald's is credited for starting our disposable society. Okay, and it says McDonald's recently vowed um, cut its emissions to net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. What, 28 years from now? Okay. And they've been investing heavily in fried chicken made from Beyond Meat. Like that alone is going to do it when they're a disposable operation. But, disposable is not mentioned anywhere here because even though the headline isn't, is, oh, they're going green, it's they're going green by fake meat. It says many activists question whether big words on the part of big corporations signal little other than the latest PR move. The sheer scope of the industry could mean that even a small push for sustainability can lead to significant real world effects. Like, imagine if they followed my agenda, which we're going to try to do. Americans, with more than 80% of Americans surveyed recently naming sustainability as a key for deciding what food to buy. Well, that's interesting. But, Americans just want it to be done for them. Like, they don't want to do it themselves. And if you're just talking like, oh, yeah, sure, the farmers go out and get grazing good, or if, well, McDonald's came up with a way for me to get my food and take it and then have me still have this packaging but not throw it away and I don't have to do anything else. I'd be all for that. But, they just want to take it and they just want to throw it away. And if they have to be part of the equation, that's when people start getting testy about sustainability. So, but, it says as one of the biggest buyers of beef in North America, partnering with Cargill and that place of the National Fish and Wildlife Federation allows us to accelerate ambitious efforts to reduce greenhouse gas emissions in our beef supply chain and to make meaningful impacts important to our planet. And guest Burger King President Tom Curtis said. So that's interesting. And now, if only I could get to Tom Curtis, that'd be great because I could ask him to do so much more. But you can't. Here is Burger King's commitment to the environment, animal welfare, sourcing environmental impact to ensure that we remain, good corporate citizens in the communities we serve. It's all just wording, but it says our people are engaged and committed. Our teams actively research and develop ways to make changes that will positively impact the environment without compromising operational standards. For example, we know that recycling and waste management are two of our biggest environmental challenges. We remain committed to working with suppliers to find ways that we can reduce, reuse, and recycle. Well, that'd be me. I'm not their supplier, but I'm the person that would have them just reduce and we wouldn't have recycling. But here, that's all they're keying in on. We know that recycling and waste management are our two biggest environmental challenges. You know what? What we will have with the environmental educator is we're not going to have waste to manage. that just gets cut out of the equation. And we don't talk about recycling because it's going to be such a minimal part of the operation that you recycle only when something is just completely no longer usable, not as an option as opposed to sending it to a landfill or an incinerator because we just won't have the waste to be managing. So that's what we need to do. So what I did was, trust me, I went through the website and I looked for emails, and the only thing I could find was media inquiries at whopper.com. This is for press to get statements. So, I say I have news video too. I'm the environmental education and agenda the world needs, but news video too. So I'm asking the person who has the environmental leadership the world needs and someone who reports environmental truths to, will Burger King lead with, ending our disposable society from homes to fast food to stadium concessions and packaging and transportation packaging. Once one does it, they will all do it. Once one leads, stadiums are going to start converting too because I'm going to have press and I'm going to, be saying they won't. And guess what? As soon as that gets out there, they will. Which, if the news had done their job for decades, this probably would have already been done. If Project Veritas would do its job, this would happen immediately. Project Veritas goes out and exposes the whole industry from every angle imaginable. From Al Gore, well, Al Gore is going to go away. He's going to apologize and go away. But the ski industry, the packaging industry, the fast food industry, the insurance industry, every industry, the plastic industry, every industry, stadium concessions are going to step up to the plate immediately. That's how fast it will happen. But try getting Project Veritas to do their job, okay? I have plenty of videos about that. So I sent this email tonight. And it's short, it's sweet, and well, I'll be harping on them. Now, I went to McDonald's. Okay, here's the executive offices, and yeah, okay, you try to find somebody to contact, or you try to find an email on here, and if you do, let me know, because that'd be great. But I'll have to get through McDonald's by when I go to Burger King. Go, hey, this is so important. We have to get everybody on board. We'll always say that you led, you got the rest organized, but we need everybody's cooperation. I mean, maybe that's how I'll get to McDonald's. But they just talk about packaging. Over 80% of guest packaging sourced over 80% of the guest packaging sourced from McDonald's restaurants was made of fiber sources, the remaining 20% of plastic. In total, 80% of our guest packaging came from renewable, recycled, or certified sources, whatever that is. 99.6 of our primary fiber-based guest packaging guest packaging. We're guests, like we're checking into a hotel. Uh, that's funny. Was sourced from recycle or certified sources and supported deforestation-free supply chains. We offer guests the opportunity to recycle packaging waste in over 25 of our restaurants and 30 of our largest markets. Oh, okay. Well, that is about as minimal as you can do to be doing good. Okay. It's 2022, and only about 25% of their restaurants in 30 of their largest markets just have recycling. That's it. And guess what? I'm light years ahead of recycling. We wouldn't be talking about all of this fiber-based packaging and guest packaging. And you know what? I didn't even want to get into it here, but in Burger King, I say, will you lead with disposable and so much more, meaning hemp. So, why isn't hemp being stated, as that's where its guest packaging comes from? No, nobody here is stating hemp. Nobody here is talking about hemp. And that needs to get into the conversation too. So, it is McDonald's and Burger King and, Wendy's and everybody committed to the environment. Well, we'll see if Burger King will lead. I would love to see if McDonald's would lead. If Al Gore had used his voice, McKibben, Barack, the NRDC, Billie Jean King in the United States tennis and every other stadium, not protecting our winners. If every environmental voice, Bobby Kennedy, had gone out into the world and said, we need to end our disposable society. Come on, fast food, step up to this plate. Stadium, step up to the plate. This would have happened long ago. And you will still never hear any of those environmental voices calling for that. But let me tell you, ending our disposable society is way more important than, worrying about a McPlan or, the what seems to me to be the real intention of these articles is to then throw in something so it seems that it's just a side note, but this fake meat is really what it's all about, and thinking that fast food's going green. But let me tell you, way more, way more important than that is ending our disposable society. And I don't advocate for fake food anywhere. I don't advocate for, you know, fast food as it is, because we've all seen it, right? They sit out for 5 years and there's not even mold on it. It looks the same as the day you took it out of the restaurant. But still, you know, millions upon billions of people do, and we really need to clean up the act. So let's see if Burger King will lead. Stay tuned, people.